What's going on, guys? It's your boy Boxing Facts for Fiction. I need you to do me a favor, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification icon for more videos like this. Keith one-time Thurman versus Josesito Lopez. What a fight. I'm sure the majority of us didn't expect this fight. I didn't expect this fight. I didn't expect Josesito Lopez to put on a spectacular performance like this and almost take the belt from the champion. I was in shock. Like everybody else probably thought Keith Thurman was going to go in there and walk through this guy. At least I was one of those guys that felt Keith Thurman was going to win the fight. Yes, I didn't do a pre-fight breakdown, but I still felt like Keith Thurman was going to win the fight convincingly. Boy, was I wrong. Keith Thurman fought for his life. Keith Thurman almost got killed in this fight, man. I mean, this Josesito Lopez, guys, was hitting Keith Thurman with one of the worst shots I've ever seen. Guys, when I use the word worse, I mean it was worse for Keith Thurman because the shots that Josesito Lopez was hitting Keith Thurman with could have decapitated anybody that night. Keith Thurman proved that he has a okay chin because he didn't go down. I mean, he took those punishments. Looked like he was about to get stopped in that 7th round. I mean, credit to Josesito Lopez and Robert Garcia, man, because this was a guys, I'm not going to take a lot of credit from Keith Thurman. He done what he had to do. I mean, this guy's coming off a 2-year layoff with a few injuries, but most of those injuries are suspect. He was talking about that elbow injury. Danny Garcia was on record saying he broke Keith Thurman's elbow. Keith Thurman took a 2-year layoff after beating Danny Garcia. He went over there to Nepal, got married. I mean, Keith Thurman was just living the life. Guys, Keith Thurman came back to boxing 2 years later talking about he's okay with being third. He's okay if people rate Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence above him. He's okay. He's just happy to be a world champion. He's just happy to be one of the guys at the top. He's just happy to be talked about. And you see, with mindset like that is why you get fights like this. I mean, if you felt like you were the best, you would have put on the But Keith Thurman has settled for 3rd place. And this performance against Josesito Lopez proved that he is 3rd place in the welterweight division. Number 1 is Terrence Crawford. Don't tell me Terrence Crawford hasn't done nothing. The man's very first fight to welterweight, and he won a belt against Jeff Thurman. It's a real belt. It's a WBO belt. It don't matter. He won a belt in his very first fight, moving up in weight. Keith Thurman was at welterweight. Errol Spence was at welterweight his whole life. Only has 1 belt. Keith Thurman had 2 belts. Now he has 1 belt. Terrence Crawford, very first fight at welterweight. He beats 2 undefeated fighters. Beat 1 for the title, a guy that beat Manny Pacquiao. And he beat another undefeated fighter, and Jose Benavidez, a guy who was like almost 6'4", fighting at welterweight. All credit goes to Terrence. We got to be honest, this is the same Josesito Lopez that's been stopped by Canelo Alvarez, but that's expected. Canelo Alvarez would stop Josesito Lopez. Stopped by Andre Berto and I believe Victor Ortiz. But the guy been stopped a few times, and Keith Thurman, undefeated fighter in his prime, 2-year layoff, was supposed to put on the show, went in there and gave us a lackluster performance. But guys, remember I told you guys in one of my videos that Robert Garcia is going to take a lot of L's this year. He's already taken one, being Josesito Lopez. He's going to take another L to Errol Spence Jr. And before that, he's going to take an L to Gervonta Tank Davis. I mean, he's not getting trainer of the year this year because a lot of his fighters were losing this year. The fight started off very fast, kind of like Keith Thurman versus Danny Garcia all over again. That was a fast start. I mean, Keith Thurman came out guns blazing. Josesito Lopez wasn't backing down. He was moving forward. Keith Thurman throwing these counter punches. Josesito Lopez, Mexican style, walking down Keith Thurman. You know, Keith Thurman started again on his bicycle. I mean, it was a fun fight for the first couple. Keith Thurman just got on his bicycle, started moving around, boxing really good, catching Josesito Lopez with those really good counter uppercuts. You know, Keith Thurman has some of the best uppercuts in the sport today. I mean, but this is what I noticed. Earlier in the fight, Keith Thurman was throwing some vicious body shots. I'm like, yo, where did those come from? Keith Thurman isn't really known for that much body punching. I mean, it was hurting Josesito Lopez, but some reason Keith Thurman stopped throwing them. He stopped throwing those body shots. And when he stopped throwing those body shots, Josesito Lopez got a little careless, started to come in. When Josesito Lopez came in and threw this shot, this one, I believe it was a short right hand or a short jab, Keith Thurman timed it perfectly and knocked him down in the second round with a crazy left hook right on the button. But I don't think he put too much power on that. If he did, it probably would have been lights out for Josesito Lopez and the fight would have been over in the second round. But Josesito Lopez managed to, he got up, kept his hands up, and then it was on and popping from that. Keith Thurman and Josesito Lopez went to war. Josesito Lopez turned into a Mexican warrior. Keith Thurman was on his bike the entire night. Josesito Lopez was the aggressor, stalking him down, just walking him down, man. Keith Thurman, you know, the judges was giving him the first couple early rounds, you know, even though Josesito Lopez was stalking him. Keith Thurman only highlight in this fight was his knockdown from round 2. But after that, he was barely winning the rounds. And then when it got to like round 6 and 7, that's when Josesito Lopez started to take over. I mean, Keith Thurman was hanging on for dear life. Keith Thurman almost got knocked out in the 7th round. Keith Thurman is not the best boxer in the world. Why is Keith Thurman going on the ropes? I have no idea. Keith Thurman kept going on the ropes. He kept moving around, going to the ropes. And he got caught on the ropes. When he got caught on the ropes, Josesito Lopez started teeing off on him. I mean, Josesito Lopez just let off these vicious combinations that he probably learned from Robert Garcia. Robert Garcia has really been helping this guy improve this game to the next. I'm not going to lie, guys. Thurman was putting on a boxing clinic, but he wasn't going to the body as much. You know, he was landing way more shots than Lopez. I remember in like round 6, they showed the landed punches to like his landed punches to Lopez landed punches. Keith Thurman had landed like 106 punches to Lopez like 38 punches. Keith Thurman was throwing some beautiful combinations, but he was only going to the body. Like I said before, Keith Thurman hurt himself in this fight because he was only landing like 2-3 body punches a round. If he would have went to the body more and more every single round, this fight would have been over before the 7th round. Before he got scared in the 7th round. Before we thought it was going to be an upset. Before we didn't even think it was going to be an upset. Before we got shocked that it was almost an upset. When that 7th round came, man, I did not expect what I seen happen. I mean, Keith Thurman, for some reason, had his hands down. And Josesito Lopez, I have no idea what Robert Garcia is doing in there with these guys. But this guy has a heart of a lion. This guy was like fighting like it's his last fight. This guy wanted to take Keith Thurman's head off. Look at that hook. He threw that hook with intention to kill. Rocked Keith Thurman's head back. Looks him in his eye. Socks him again. And again. He did not come to take a paycheck. He came to. But in the 12th round, even though Josesito Lopez's best round was the 7th round, in the 12th round, Keith Thurman, he did what he had to do in the 12th round. But after the fight, Keith Thurman said he injured his right hand. So it looks like Keith Thurman's going to be out for a few more years. We won't see that Errol Spence versus Keith Thurman. But guys, do me a favor, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification icon for more videos like this. Keith Thurman is out here saying he wants to fight Manny Pacquiao next. He wants to fight Errol Spence in 2020. He thinks his fight with Errol Spence is like Floyd Mayweather versus Manny Pacquiao. He thinks it's the Super Bowl of all fights. To us, that's not the fight. The Super Bowl of all fights is Terrence Crawford versus Errol Spence, because those are the top two. But like I said, hit that like button, hit that